Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
The Snake, Sue Bird, using Caitlin Clark again via Kelsey Mitchell. Uh, but seriously, though, Kelsey had some really interesting things to say here that I want to talk about, especially in light of the last video I did. I don't know if it was the last video I did, but recently, of the video I did recently about Stephanie White and some of the things she said. And of course, now a whole lot of people who call themselves Caitlin Clark fans, it's bizarre, have taken that to run with it and attack those of us that were critical of what Stephanie White said. And of course, lie about it by saying that we were bashing Kelsey Mitchell and saying terrible things about Kelsey Mitchell, which simply isn't true. What we were, and they said, oh, Stephanie White isn't saying build around Kelsey. Well, she said it twice, actually. And the point being is, it is not a diss of Scottie Pippen when we say we build around Michael Jordan. It's not a diss of Clyde Drexler when you say you build around Akeem Olajuwon. It is not a diss of Tony Parker when you say you build around Tim Duncan. And right now, Michelle, if you're out there and listening, you build around Luca, not LeBron. That's just simply the way it is. It's not a diss of any of those players that you aren't building around. And yeah, it got nasty. And of course, what irks me is calling out people without giving names. And anyway, maybe I'll do a whole nother video on that because it is some wild stuff. But to be clear, for those who think that might be me, my video with Stephanie White had nothing to do with dissing Kelsey Mitchell as a basketball player. Again, I've said repeatedly, best shooting guard in the league. What I don't like is Stephanie White saying to build around Kelsey Mitchell. What I don't like is the way Stephanie White wants to run an offense with Caitlin Clark. And that is what makes this really interesting with what Kelsey Mitchell says here. Do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really, truly do appreciate it. Move past 14.8, closed it in on 15,000. I will do a giveaway of a shirt when that does happen. So do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. But let's take a listen to what Kelsey Mitchell said. She's asked about playing with Caitlin and playing with Aliyah Boston. And I think these comments are really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, you already talked a little bit about just like Caitlin, how she was coming in also. So now I want you to talk about like the three of you and how do you complement each other?
I think the best part about it is that our pace, we are aligned on pace, and that is a big part of the game. When it's bad, have a sense of pace still. When it's horrible, have a sense of pace. When it's great, keep the pace going. And Caitlin plays in a way is that we don't have time to dwell. And I think I started to have a better shot efficiency because I started not thinking about it if I missed because the way Caitlin was playing and the way AB wanted to play, like, let's go. And that had always been how I played. And I'm like, I felt like a kid in the candy store. I'm like, ooh, I'm back with people that want to play fast. And it just, the pace alone was just like our thing. And then from there, our individual games, obviously, me being able to draw, and, being able to cut, and Caitlin see me, her ability to be able to pass, AB ability to be able to pass, which is underrated and people don't talk about. We just had different compliments of each other that worked out.
Yeah, I mean,
I absolutely love everything about this. I don't know what the people who are alluding to all the Kelsey Mitchell hate are going to have to say when I sit here. And once again, as I've done repeatedly, praise Kelsey Mitchell as a basketball player. And I will get the one negative out of the way because this sort of negates the negative. Can I say that? Yeah, I'm going to say it anyway. This negates the negative. The biggest issue I've had with Kelsey Mitchell as a player, and this isn't really just her, this is for the type of player that she is. Those that are this type of player have this happen, are it's just part of their game at times, and it's kind of like you live with the bad because of the good. And her answer here kind of helps eliminate that bad, and that is that she has a tendency to get into that whole hero ball thing where the head goes down and she dribbles around and she's just locked in on, I'm going to find a way to get a bucket. I'm going to find a way to get my shot off no matter what. And when you're doing what she's talking about here, playing with pace, which Kelsey Mitchell is absolutely phenomenal at doing in a different way than Caitlin Clark, but they're both phenomenal playing up tempo. They're both phenomenal playing at a pace that other teams simply can't match. Kelsey Mitchell is a phenomenal athlete. She's quick, she's fast, she's explosive. She plays the game so damn well when playing at pace. And what is crazy to me, which is why the title is what it is, for those who are going to say it's clickbait, it's wild. By the way, go out there. It's amazing how big some of these channels are that really do use clickbait, and you're going to give me that nonsense. But anyway, that's a topic for another day as well. If you listen and you watch, more importantly, watch how the Indiana Fever played most of the time. Stephanie White, and we saw it enough with Caitlin Clark. We didn't unfortunately get to see it all season long with Caitlin Clark to really hammer it home, but she did not like Caitlin Clark playing with pace. Stephanie White does not play with pace. She'll talk about it. I know she talks in a way to get you on board, but that's not the reality of the type of game that she wants to run. Again, I would say I would rather have Christy Sides as the coach of this team. All the terrible things I said about Christy Sides as a coach, all those negative things, I would take the Christy Sides I saw post Olympic break last year, or 2024. I would take that Christy Sides over Stephanie White any day of the week for all the reasons that Kelsey Mitchell just said. By the way, shout out and to the insight of what she said about Aliyah Boston as a passer, which is completely true. But those three, if you have next season, you play the way they did post Olympic break when Christy Sides was coaching, where you just give the ball to Caitlin Clark and she does her thing, and you're going to have a more talented supporting cast around Kelsey and AB and Caitlin than you did on that 2024 team. This team cannot be stopped and it will win a title. I just don't know that Stephanie White is going to be able to let go and do that because she does not want Caitlin Clark to be Caitlin Clark. She wants to put the parking brake on. She wants to put the handcuffs on. She wants to take away any risk from Caitlin Clark's game. And you cannot have a fantastic player play in the way that Caitlin does and eliminate risk, right? You're either going to turn her into a boring, average, predictable, typical WNBA point guard, or you're going to live with the risk factor as well, because the reward far outweighs the risk. And all players have that in their game. Kelsey Mitchell has a little of that too, and I just alluded to it. Kelsey Mitchell takes some bad shots, folks. Kobe Bryant took some bad shots. Michael Jordan took some bad shots. But the reward far outweighs. Like you don't want to completely handcuff that, because it's a mentality, and you can improve upon it for sure, but you don't want to completely handcuff it. But this, I love everything about what Kelsey Mitchell is saying here. This is what I want to see from this team going forward. I just don't believe, from everything I've seen and heard, that Stephanie White is the coach that's going to allow that to happen. If you go back to, I'll wrap it up with this. If you go back to a video I did a while back where Caitlin Clark was talking about. And again, it wasn't put out there as a negative, but in looking at everything that's going on, that is how I see it. And I think Kelsey Mitchell is doing the same thing, even if it's not purposeful. When Caitlin Clark talked about that, the whole thing about the risk, how Stephanie White yanked her from a game, and don't forget how mad Stephanie White looked. That iconic sequence against the Liberty in Caitlin's first game back after the injury when she missed time, and the 3 threes in 30 seconds that were from the next city over, maybe even the next state, and then again later she hit that fourth one over Breanna Stewart. Stephanie White didn't like any of that. Too much risk for her. But if you get those three players together and you play the way and anyway, my point being, let me finish that up. Caitlin Clark got yanked out of a game for a pass that she threw, and you heard her talk about how Stephanie White doesn't want me to throw certain passes because of the risk involved. You have just destroyed the greatest player in the game. That's what Stephanie White is doing, whether she knows it or not. Okay, I'll even take away the fact that I think she's doing it on purpose. If she's not, she simply is not up to what is needed as a coach for this group, not just for Caitlin, but for this group, because you can hear Kelsey saying, she's basically saying the same thing, playing with that pace, going 100 miles an hour, all out with her, with Caitlin, with AB, who, by the way, is effective in that game. And I've said it before, she struggles at times, or I think times in the last 2 seasons where she was a little out of shape, but I've said this multiple times, even if she's the trail, you know how good she is getting the ball around the foul line, right? So think about Caitlin getting up court. An initial bucket isn't there. All eyes are on Caitlin. They're trying to find Kelsey. They don't want Lexi open in the corner. And then Aliyah Boston trails the play right down the lane. and Caitlin Clark's going to find her and forget it. Lights out, folks. Aliyah Boston coming downhill like that. You're not stopping it. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Asia Wilson. You're not stopping it. And so to me, and I loved hearing this because to me, Kelsey is echoing what Caitlin Clark, how Caitlin Clark feels and what we've heard Caitlin Clark say. The issue I have is that is not this coach. That is not this coach. So y'all can stop with the twisting stuff and hating on Kelsey Mitchell. I don't hate on Kelsey Mitchell as a ball player at all. I don't know if I've given any player more praise than Kelsey Mitchell other than Caitlin Clark. As a basketball player, I am a Kelsey Mitchell fan. I'm not saying I don't like her as a person. I'm just focusing on basketball. I got issues with her family and lack of action there, but that's a topic for another day. So anyway, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. As always, appreciate you checking out the video. Do me a favor, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comments below. Do you agree? Are you seeing it differently? Is this the team you want to see? What Kelsey is saying, on board with the big three playing at a high pace? Let me know. Uh, Go have a day you deserve. I'll talk to you later.